customers a lot better. Amaka, am I still up? Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. I can
Okay.
also see your screen.
Oh, great stuff. Great stuff. Something popped up on my screen. Well, I wanted to be sure. So, what are the businesses that have built this really interesting intelligence layer to use data, behavioral data, to service their customer on a higher level, on a deeper level? So we look at OPay, and this is probably something that you all might be familiar with. There's a modeling there's a modeling concept that is called contextual cross-pollination. It's big grammar, but let me explain what that means. It means that you use the data that is available on a subject across multiple platforms, across multiple channels to deliver or to make a decision on other channels. That's simply what it means. Is that in the case of OPay, OPay uses this lifestyle data they have on customers. Again, there's no data privacy issues or violations here in the classic sense. I'm not speaking for OPay. I'm trying to explain this concept. Is that they're not necessarily violating data privacy because the data they have on the customer is anonymized, right? They don't have their name and so on and so forth. They only know that this customer A23FCK did a transaction in X touch points, whether it is through a POS. And then we also noticed that this same ID was used, did a transaction somewhere in Lokoja, especially if their merchants at those locations have this geolocation or geotagging functionality in place. So all of these things, all of these data touch points that OPay has on the customer, they then use it to deliver higher value financial services. For example, I'm not sure how many people have used this their loan service. This loan feature automatically computes based on the data they have on your transactions and all of that stuff, computes the kind of credits they can extend to you, which also obviously has an overall impact on your credit score as a citizen of the country. But the point is that they use all of that data to deliver a higher level of value to their customer. And this is what it means to build an intelligence layer for the business. In the case of OPay, just to kind of iterate this compounding loop, is that the speed of the app, which is one of the things that fascinated most Nigerians, built trust for the business, which then drove this sort of viral word of mouth, which has now led to massive transaction value. So you can see that loop there, right? It was so interesting, it was so fascinating for people that they started to speak of it to other people. Even people who never thought they would open an OPay account, i.e., Eita or Laimi, eventually opened an OPay account just based on some of these features around some of these things, this trust metrics in terms of the speed of transactions and things like that. And finally, is Coca-Cola, kind of similar to Unilever as well, is that they also have this sort of predictive system that they use as in almost every modern trade channel to really track, analyze demand at every location. And by extension, that feeds how they approach distribution across different locations and channels. This is them building that intelligence layer to continue to reinforce their business growth. So this is it for anyone who's asking, how do I build a growth system, or how do I use digital to build a growth system that scales trust, or rather scales attention, trust, and revenue? This is how you approach it. You conduct your credibility audit. How are you tracking when it comes to trust in the marketplace? Number two is a transaction audit. Are people able to do transactions with you seamlessly, almost at every touch point? And number three, how are you using data to reinforce higher levels of value that you deliver to your customer? Very quickly, I'm just going to show you this as I start to round up, is the case of Money Point, which we spoke about earlier, is that when merchants use the POS on a daily basis, the system captures the data of those transactions, which Money Point then uses to offer additional services and products such as capital loans to fuel more business growth, and also ultimately lock these merchants into their ecosystem. That's that reinforcing loop that we're talking about. In the case of Coca-Cola, every bottle sold in every location is a data point for their automation platform that triggers what they refer to as a replenishment cycle, which ensures that the product is always available, and that availability further cements the credibility of the brand within the category. And finally is the PQS one, which where they leverage their social currency to reinforce that loop with the products that they created, whether it's the safe lock or this automatic savings feature and things like that. All of this, reinforces the growth system for the business, which is almost why these businesses almost very seldom you see them do some brand new campaign. The brand new campaign is a brand play versus this their reinforcing growth system that they have built within their organization. In closing, AI, definitely we have to talk about the role of AI. Not in what we've talked about so far. Now imagine layering AI on top of everything that we've said so far. Whilst most of us are still using AI to write emails or captions or copy and things like that, AI is an incredible tool to do so much more than that. Imagine a future where we have autonomous systems that find the customer, verifies the product, and completes the transaction almost autonomously. That is a future that is very possible. By the way, Africa, where we normally you would expect that Africa will be the market to at least catch up, but what the numbers are saying about the adoption of AI on the continent is very different. On the African continent, businesses in Africa, 40% of businesses in Africa have either trialed, generative AI or implemented successful tools and solutions within their business. That over indexes compared to every other region on the continent. I think that even in terms of the economic value that this delivers for the marketplace is ridiculous. So we are going to get there, and we kind of have to start thinking about the role that AI will play as we build these growth engines going forward. In conclusion, this is your takeaway: is that growth systems are not linear in the classic way we think about, are not linear funnels in the classic way we tend to think about it as marketers. They are reinforcing or compounding loops that allow every element attention to reinforce the other bits: trust, revenue, trust, attention, like that. This is your main takeaway: is that how do you build digital systems, these growth systems that leverage digital to give you something of this nature where the business itself is sustaining its own growth almost automatically. Remember the learning outcomes. I hope that you're starting to make that mindset shift to start to think about business. As I said, this will feel like a business session rather than a marketing session. I'm sure it did. Number two is that, this simplified approach of credibility layer, transaction layer, and intelligence layer is kind of how you start thinking about these growth systems. Number three, I showed you some of the case studies of brands in the market who are implementing this within their business. Again, some do well on different layers, and some are doing a fantastic job across all the layers. And right now is that you also now can start thinking about using this framework, how you can start building these growth systems for the clients or the brands that you service. My platforms, if you want to reach out, LinkedIn and Instagram. These are my handles. Feel free to reach out if for anything. As a matter of fact, if I can help, I'm always very happy to help. As much as I can. And then, obviously, shameless plug, the Diary of a CMO podcast. I think it's an incredible repository of knowledge that people can take advantage of. So I want to encourage you to check it out and join and listen in and learn one or two things. Thank you very much, everyone. So let's get to work.
Yeah, thank you very much, Itayo. This was an extremely